afternoon and welcome to ATN Society Watch. This is a program where we ventilate societal issues, give them aggregate attention with a view to prefer solutions that will benefit humanity. Now to the headlines. Ibadan stampede. Oni's ex-wife detained as death toll hits 35. In Osun State, Adeleke pardons man sentenced to death over chicken theft. In France, man jailed 20 years for orchestrating wife's mass rape. And in plastic surgery, Sterling's ex dies following BBL complications. Remember, we're open for advert placement, news and event coverage, personality, society and political interviews, product, service promotion, and commercials. You can connect with us on all our ATN socials on Facebook and on YouTube, Atlantic Television Network on Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1. We are on Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. I'll go on a break, and when I come back, I'll introduce you to the beautiful ladies joining me today on the show. Please stay with us.
From the lands across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Here with me in the studio, I have two beautiful ladies, dietitian Peace Ezekwem. She's a dietitian, nutritionist, public health professional, and climate change advocate. And pleased to have you with us, ma.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thank
Hello,
you so
viewers.
much for joining us. And our second guest for today is dietitian Ogechi Patricia Nwamako, a registered dietitian nutritionist. Pleased to have you with us here in the studio. You guys look so amazing. Real quick, let's go into the discuss. Oyo State Police Command has confirmed the arrest of Naomi Sile Kunola, former Queen of the Oni of Ife, alongside the principal of Islamic High School, Ibadan, Fasisi Abdullahi, and 6 others, in connection with a stampede at the Children's Fun Fair in Ibadan. The incident, which occurred on Wednesday, claimed at least 35 lives, most of them children. The tragic event held at Islamic High School, Basoro, was organized by Wings Foundation in collaboration with Agidigbo FM, a local radio station, and was planned for 5,000 attendees. However, overcrowding occurred as the number of participants reportedly exceeded 7,500. Police Public Relations Officer Adewale Osefiso confirmed the arrest and stated that investigations are still ongoing. The case has been transferred to the State Criminal Investigation Department and justice will be pursued with urgency, he said. Other arrested individuals include Genesis Christopher, 24, Tanimowo Moruf, 52, Anisolaja Olabode, 42, Idowu Ibrahim, 35, and Abiola Oluwatemileyin, 25. Witnesses recounted chaotic scenes at the venue as crowds surged to gain entry. A grieved parent said, "I didn't bargain for this. My daughter is not dead. Please, doctor, wake her up." Partners Hospital in Boston reportedly received 6 children, 5 of whom were pronounced dead, while 1 survivor has been discharged. Adigigbo FM, through its Director of Programs, Olayinka Abdulwahab, clarified its role, stating, "We are not the organizers of the event, but we are involved as a media partner." The Oni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Ogunwusi, expressed his condolences in a statement on Thursday, extending sympathy to the Oyo State government and the victims' family. "We share in the grief and pain of the affected families. We pray that Olodumare grants them the fortitude to bear this trying time," the monarch said. He also commended Naomi Silekonola for her previous charitable efforts during her time as queen. Miss Naomi Ogunseye demonstrated love and care for the children of Ile-Ife, organizing events each December to support indigent children, Oba Ogunwuse noted. The monarch pledged the House of Oduduwa's support for efforts to bring solace and healing to those affected, while urging stringent adherence to safety standards to prevent future tragedies. He said, "We stress the importance of rigorous adherence to safety standards and child welfare policies in educational institutions." He, however, condemned the sensationalization of the incident, urging a responsible and reflective approach to reporting the tragedy. Governor Seyi Makinde also expressed sorrow over the tragedy, assuring residents that measures are being taken to prevent similar incidents. Security agents have been deployed to restore order, and medical personnel were sent to assist the victim, he announced via his X handle. What are your thoughts on this story, Ms. Beast?
Well, it's quite so pathetic, most especially at this time. I think they didn't really plan enough for this event. But first, may their soul rest in peace, because it has already occurred. And there is nothing we are going to do except to do better in the future.
Right.
Looking at this now, many parents will be grieving because a lot of children have passed away.
Right.
Then others have been injured. But I feel that next time, if people should go into planning, they should have a way of doing it so that it will be modest enough to safeguard life and also ensure that the children or whoever that is participating in the event does well. I see a lot of people give out invitations now. They invite school and say, okay, from this school we need 20 children. From this school we need 20. So in that way, you'll be able to meet up with the 5,000 children targets which you've already budgeted and planned for, and there won't be excesses. And then ensure that personnel, security personnel, or there is an ushering agency that will ensure that such events such tragic events like Stampede don't occur again. I think it's this year that we had that Ibadan collapse or crash. So it's more like a whole pathetic situation for the state right now, and this should have been prevented. But I don't know what happened.
Ms. Ogechi, what are your thoughts as regards the hunger in the land? Because see, when this event was hosted, parents surged in with their children, forgetting the fact that you might not even get the gift that was supposed to be given. But because of, do you think hunger played a factor to make parents pursue this event till we got to the tune of 7,500?
The truth is, hunger is one of the major reasons why parents left their children like that, just to come out in mass for such. But the problem remains that in as much as hunger is the number one, will I call it culprit, there is also the issue of having trained personnel, like we have crowd controllers. Probably they didn't make good plans. So, but talking about hunger in the land, no matter how hungry a person is, though, I wouldn't say that they will just leave their children to come out like that. But what are we going to do to curb the hunger? Because no matter how you look at it,
the prices of foodstuff are soared. Food is a problem for many families. Now, imagine you as a mom, a parent, you take your little child to this type of party. It was publicized on radio. People announced there were no fixtures to say ABCD people can get in. So it was opened for everybody. Now, you might have left your house with the thought that when we get there, they will give us something. Let's take our bath early, let's go early and all of that. Now, someone has gotten to that place. Do you think hunger played a prevalent role as regards, you get there, you see the crowd, and there is a stampede at the gate, or people are struggling, you go back, right? Or you people try to go in one by one. What do you think would have gone wrong to make a parent want to say, we must go inside, despite the fact that the place is already blocked?
You're right. You're right. Thinking about it, when you don't have any other choice, there is no hope. the price of things are excruciatingly high, and this is Christmas. People want to celebrate. People want to eat. So they wouldn't have any other choice than to just go for that giveaway. It's free. And you know, there is this tag we have on free things. There is this tag we have on free things. We just want to get it. We are not spending for it, just not spending on getting it. So I wouldn't really say hunger didn't play a role. It actually played a big role. And I'm sure it's the pushing factor that will make a parent see that crowd, see that surge, and the person is still moving.
Is that enough reason to ignore the safety and welfare of your children, of your child?
It's not. But you know, as parents, no parent would like to see their child hungry and crying.
Right.
Okay? So I'm certain they didn't envisage the stampede happening. They never thought it would come to that.
Right.
All they had in mind was, this is a survival means. Let's just get this package. Our Christmas goes stew. You know?
Stew. That's lovely when you put it like that. Miss Space. Now, what are your thoughts as regards the state of hunger in the states, as it were? Because I want to say in Nigeria, but now let's focus on the states that this happened. 7,500 people. It is not for an employment opportunity.
No.
It's to come and eat rice and collect party pack. That should go, for me, that goes a long way to show the level of hunger in all your states and Ibadan, the state capital. What are your thoughts on the high rate of hunger, parents and children get to face at this time?
Okay, the hunger
and how can the government help?
The hunger is widespread, and funny enough, I've lived 5 to 6 years of my life in Ibadan, so I can actually see, envisage what really happened there that day. These people are camp people. They're very welcoming. They love food, and the lifestyle there is quite affordable, especially for the average family. But because of this hike in food prices and many things, we can see that things are getting worse and worse. And most parents wouldn't even have been at home. Some would have even gone there being lured by their friends or elder siblings. So it's not as if everybody that went there, their parents allowed them. Because definitely they'll be in the market, they'll be at many places doing their businesses. And it's quite unfortunate that these people had just died just because they went for just maybe a particular meal, maybe lunch. They have not had breakfast. Okay, let it be their breakfast. When they get home, they'll take their lunch. So the government has to come in. It's obvious that from the vulnerable ones, which are the children that just died, and till those that are elderly, there is hunger, because some will still bring for their parents. Yes. So the government has to do enough now. Food is affordable, let me say a bit affordable in Ibadan than here and maybe other parts. But Ibadan should be the largest city in West Africa. So they should have known that a lot of children would come. And there would also be likelihood of stampede. So on their parts, I think they didn't do enough logistics arrangement, and planning and safety. But we commend their efforts in trying to support. But at the same time, the government has to come in. I think everybody that wants to do something that should exceed 500 children or more participants, should involve the government. We have many agencies, National Orientation Agency and other that would orientate them on how to go about their planning, maybe assist them, or they will even partner. So in all these things, government has to come forward during festive seasons or during events like this. And make it mandatory for people to use them and call on them to assist. Yes, definitely. And they can partner to see that aside making people to get entertained and enjoying themselves, there is also safety. Then secondly, on the hunger in the land, the government has to do something. I was in the market last week. 5 liters of oil was sold at 18,500. Just yesterday is 22,500. That means a liter goes for nothing less than 4,000 or 4,001. So a parent that receives 16,000 in a month, how would the person even buy vegetable oil, cheese and go? So the hunger is too much. So I think in whatever budget they're making for 2025, they should consider food. Food and subsidize. Yes, because food is a basic need of man, and they should know how they can subsidize food, how they can make food affordable for at least indigent ones. Thank you so much for your input on that one. We go straight to our next story. Governor Ademola Adeleke has directed an immediate investigation and clemency process for a young man sentenced to death by hanging in Osun State for stealing a fowl.
In a statement issued on Tuesday evening, the governor instructed the Attorney General to intervene, ensuring the individual is listed for a prerogative of mercy before the year ends. I have read about the case. I recognize the separation of powers in our democracy. In this particular case, I have directed the Commissioner for Justice to initiate processes to grant prerogative of mercy to the young man, Adeleke stated. He emphasized the importance of justice and fairness in Osun State, describing it as a land where equity and the sanctity of life must be upheld. The governor reassured the public that the matter is under his direct attention, with urgency attached to the state government's response. He said we must ensure fairness and protection of the sanctity of lives. The case has drawn widespread significant public attention, with many raising concerns about proportionality in the justice system. The governor's intervention reflects his administration's commitments to equity and justice in Osun State. So there's a back to this story. This man was arrested when he was 17, and he was arrested for stealing fowl and eggs, and he was taken to court, and the judge sentenced him to death for theft of fowl and egg. Now, when he was sentenced, you know, the normal awaiting death row. He was 17, he was a minor. He was supposed to probably be sent, by my opinion, if I would say so myself, to some form of juvenile facility, you know. But he was sent to Kirikiri maximum prison for stealing chicken and egg. Even though the governor has granted him pardon, what are your thoughts on this story? Let's begin from Ms. Ogechi.
The whole story is just leaving me speechless. I think, in my opinion, this judgment is extreme. I think it's extreme. For stealing of egg and fowl, Kirikiri prison, in fact, death sentence, let's start with that, is extreme for whatever crime, for that particular crime. And then considering that the person is a minor, a 17-year-old boy, I mean, don't we have something like maybe a correction center, or maybe, like you said, juvenile prison, okay, where this child can be, maybe they can look into the child, know what to do about it. I think that's what they do in correction centers. Find a way to, you know, correct whatever that is going on, whatever that made the child to steal. But death sentence, I mean, I think it's too extreme for that particular crime. Persons have gotten away with something as, what will I even call? Things are way more than that. I mean, there could be something like maybe 6 months imprisonment or maybe a fine, but death sentence, I think that's too extreme. And I want to also use this opportunity to thank the governor for coming to, you know, intervene right on time. Imagine this child dying for just stealing egg and fowl. Now, I'm not saying stealing is good. I'm not saying it's okay to steal or there shouldn't be a punishment for stealing. All I'm saying is I think the punishment was way too much. It's not commensurate to what he did.
Thank you so much for your insight on that. Like she rightly said, we can say this case is a case of using a sledgehammer to kill an ant. What are your thoughts on this story, Ms. Fis?
I agree with my colleague. When I heard the news, I was like, no, this isn't proper, except if there's something they're not telling us. Yeah, but this punishment is really uncalled for. For just stealing a fowl and egg, it's still centered on the whole hunger and food crisis. If this person had enough, I don't think this person would have stolen. But at the same time, we are not supporting.
Now, Ms. Peace, I want to come in to ask you something. Given that Nigeria is a place where we have all of the bodies, we have the FIDA, we have Ministry of Women and Children Affairs, we have Rights for Children, Violence Against People's Act, we have Child Rights Act and all of this acts. Why do you think nobody amplified the suffering of this boy? Because I'll call him a boy because he was a minor when this happened. Of this boy, of this 17-year-old boy, when it happened, till he has served 10 years. If his mother did not amplify her voice to say, help me, governor, and release my son to commemorate your 2 years in office, he would still be in prison. What are your thoughts as regards all of this agency? Do you think they're doing the work as they say they do?
Well, I think they're doing the work, but there is too much work to be done in the country. And thank God the mother of the boy didn't relent. And thankfully, the governor has come into this situation now, and I'm sure the boy will get justice. But at the same time, sometimes when we see matters like this, we have to advocate. We have to speak up for those that cannot speak up. Everything must not be paid through.
Right.
Because I'm sure this woman has been talking, but nobody heard her. But if it's somebody that is a celebrity or an influencer, I'm sure something like a release, maybe at second year of term or so, would have been done. But regardless, we have to do better.
Right.
Yeah, agencies have to pick up some of these crucial cases and speak up for these ones.
And speak up for this ones. Thank you so much for your insight on that. I want to ask you one question, Mr. Ogechi, before we move to our next story. What did you think was running through the mind of the judge?
Good.
What do you think was running through the mind of the judge for this sort of charge?
Should be told. I don't know what could possibly be. I can't tell what could possibly be going through his mind to think of death sentence of all things that could come to his mind at that time. I know. Okay, let me not say I know. Let's say for somebody to be a judge, at least you will have a child that is up to 17, if not more than 17-year-old. So whatsoever that came to his mind that would make him go for a death sentence is something I don't know. Unless there is something, or there is something else the boy did that is not public.
This is all that was on the case. Chicken and egg.
I'm still saying it. Unless there is something else that the public do not know about. But for chicken and egg, there is nothing. I can't even imagine anything that will make him sentenced
so much
to a
or
life
did he loot
sentence.
the whole farm?
I don't know.
Capital punishment for chicken and egg. Miss Peace, what reforms do you think we should have going on in our judiciary to prevent things like this from happening? I mean, chicken and egg. When this boy stole egg was probably 1.5.
Or 13 naira.
The egg was like 25 then. Right
Because
now he's
as of
coming
that time,
out.
I bought one egg 13 naira.
Right?
About 10 years ago.
He's coming out now. Egg set is 300.
That's-
What are your thoughts as regards reforms that should be done in the judiciary so that cases like this will not be prevalent? I'm sure this is not an isolated case.
Yes.
There's several cases like this that are happening. What are your thoughts on our judicial system? And what reforms can we do?
Okay, I feel that the Nigerian judiciary system still has to keep undergoing trainings, and they should not work in solo. Perhaps if there were 2 judges or 3 or more on this kind of punishment would not have been given to this child.
Right.
So there should be some form of, in academics they say peer review. So maybe they can be in pairs.
Right.
Yeah, to look into cases, not just one person giving a verdict.
Okay.
So in that way, they can rub minds together and they'll be able to provide the best punishments for such persons. And I feel that from time to time, they should also go through trainings because learning is a continual process.
Right.
So there is no end to it. As long as there are judges, there are juries, they have to keep training themselves on key issues like this so that the right punishment would be given.
Thank you so much for your insight on that one. We go straight to the next story. French court in Avignon has sentenced Dominique Pellicot, 72, to 20 years in prison for a decade of sexual abuse and rape inflicted on his then wife. The crimes described by the court as unparalleled in their cruelty included enlisting 50 other men to participate in the abuse. The trial, which began in September, has drawn international attention due to the sheer scale and severity of the case. The 50 accomplices, aged between 27 and 47, were convicted of their roles in the abuse, with sentences varying based on time served, suspended sentences, and health conditions. Among the convicted were professionals such as a nurse, journalist, teacher, hotel manager, military personnel, and a prison guard. Giselle Pellicot, who chose to waive her anonymity to raise awareness and inspire societal change, appeared composed as the court announced the verdict. Briefly addressing supporters outside the courthouse, she left quietly afterward. Her decision to come forward has been lauded as an act of bravery, shedding light on an often hidden form of domestic abuse and sparking discussions on the need for stricter measures to protect victims. Beatrice Zavaro, Dominique Pellicot Pellicot's lawyer hinted at a potential appeal, arguing that Pellicot had been unfairly portrayed as the trial's scapegoat. She stated, "We don't have the authority to critique a judicial decision, only to appeal it." The court has condemned the head of this orchestra, differentiating him from the men who wake up this orchestra. Presiding Judge Roger Arata emphasized the logistical considerations for some convicted men who would not be immediately imprisoned due to health concerns, noting a few more days of freedom while we find a suitable prison. The case has ignited widespread condemnations and calls for stronger legal frameworks to address systemic abuse. Advocacy groups have praised Giselle Pellicot's courage, highlighting the need for increased support for survivors and stricter penalties for perpetrators. This landmark trial underscores the urgent need for society to address deep-seated issues surrounding domestic abuse and gender-based violence, ensuring that victims receive justice and perpetrators face the full weight of the law. Now, you see this story. Let me hear your thoughts. Let me hear your thoughts first, Ogechi. Let me hear your thoughts on this one.
This one. All the stories today are not funny. But this one, I don't even know whether to laugh, to get angry. I don't know how to feel, really. First off, the idea of a man, a husband, not just raping his wife, but enlisting other men, a whole 50. I think something must be wrong with the man psychologically.
You're right.
In my opinion, I always say in my opinion, because I'm not certain unless diagnosed, okay? But for somebody to do something like that, something must be wrong somewhere. And another problem we have, I don't know if it's okay to discuss it on this show. I think one of the problems is that most persons do not see rape as in forced sex in marriage as rape.
That was going to be my next question, but let's keep going. We can talk about it on the show.
I believe most persons, or will I say, let me not say most, that seems like a lot. Some men do not see forced sex in marriage as rape. So that is why I'm also adding and enlisting others. So let's assume that he has this wrong ideology that is not rape, forcing his wife to have sex with him, even without her consent. Let's just say he thinks it's not rape. But then, bringing in other men, that's where you have to, maybe he needs to go to maybe a psychiatric center, a correction center. In fact, he needs a psychiatrist.
He needs a psychiatrist. Miss Peace. She rightly almost got into my second question with that answer. The patriarchy for many men, and I'm talking about many men I have spoken to on air and off air, do not share the ideology that a married woman can be raped in her home. In fact, I had one person that told me that it's except they are having misunderstanding. That is when it would be as if that normally, I mean, why wouldn't a woman always be ready for her husband when she, decides to get married? What are your thoughts when you think about the patriarchy state as we are as the people borrowing a leaf from the story to our system? Worldwide, it's quite the patriarchy. It's usually said it's a man's world. What are your thoughts on this story when you think about it from a patriarchal standpoint?
Okay, the viewpoint is that in marriage, union, there should be a respect for the other partner. And most times, these men, because you feel you've paid some huge bride price, or some bride price that's never been paid before, you take advantage of everything, which is totally wrong. There should be a consent. You should be able to ask this, that can we do this? Or some people plan theirs, but in case there's no planning, always seek consent from your partner. You cannot just come back and just think of doing anything with somebody. You don't even know her state of health. You don't even know her psychological well-being, and you just want to put an ad because in husband, the so-called husband in quotes is not right.
Right.
That's my own viewpoint, and I feel there should be respect.
So do you believe there is rape in marriage?
Yes, of course, I believe there is rape, but it shouldn't be.
Right.
Some people go ahead because a forced sexual union, a forced sexual act is rape.
Is rape. Right.
Yeah.
Rightly said.
Because if this person is sick, like I said before, it's already a rape because they are going to force her to do something that she cannot. even when she's not in the capacity to say so.
Mr. Ogechi, now, the judge, let's not even go into the judge. What are your thoughts on 20 years and some people being given leverage and freedom to say they will not serve because of health concerns, they will not serve because of distance, you know, all of these things on the table? What are your thoughts on it?
I have several thoughts. There are so many things going through my mind. Personally, when it comes to the issue of women and rape, I have this personal interest in them. So there are several things going on in my head right now.
We need to hear this.
First off, I used to think it was just in Nigeria and Africa that cases of rape are taken leniently. I didn't know it was like a worldwide thing. Because why will he even consider telling some persons, okay, they cannot serve their term now because they are sick? During the time of the rape, did he consider that the woman might be sick? Did they consider the state of that woman? Did they consider the state they are putting that woman in? The kind of injuries she must have undergone? Her health condition? Now they have health conditions and nobody is putting it into consideration. Okay? Then, good. Talking about the 20 years imprisonment for the husband. I don't think just the imprisonment is enough. Because I think this is a psychological problem. The imprisonment is not going to do anything. In fact, it might end up worsening him. He needs to be sent to maybe a psychologist, a therapist, anything.
Although they're planning to appeal the case that, you know, he was sentenced wrongly, 20 years. Why?
He was sentenced wrongly.
All right. That was what his lawyer said.
Do you know that? I don't know if you've ever met a rape victim. In as much as this woman is an elderly woman, a matured woman.
Right.
But there are lots of psychological impacts this will have on her. There is a possibility this woman will never be able to marry again. She might not even be able to have any kind of relationship, minus marriage. If she doesn't have a child already, she might not want to have a child. She might end up hating men. These are how misandries are built, or misandry starts. You see women that hate men. It's things like this. She might form this ideology that all men are mean, just because some group of men raped her. And that does not define every man on the surface of the earth.
Sadly so.
So, you see, there are so many things that this thing can cause, especially when not handled rightly. I think what gives people the leverage to rape is because it's taken lightly. Nothing is usually done. And when something is done, it's usually too lenient. Okay, look at an issue of rape. You are considering telling the people to, okay, leaving them because of health condition. Look at someone that stole chicken and fowl. Death sentence for chicken and fowl.
Sadly.
So a fowl is more important than a woman
Sadly.
that was raped.
Although just for us to wrap this topic up, the Ministry of Women Affairs has the Minister of the Ministry of Women Affairs and Children Affairs has gone to say the capital punishment. She's vying for the capital punishment to go for rape victims, rapists in Nigeria. Let's go quickly to our final story for today. Tabby Brown, 45, a former Playboy model and ex-girlfriend of footballer Raheem Sterling, tragically passed away following complications from a Brazilian butt lift (BBL) procedure. An inquest revealed that Ms. Brown collapsed at her South London home and died from a fat embolism just days after public where she underwent the surgery. The cosmetic procedure involved liposuction and fat transfer to the size of the buttocks. During the inquest, cosmetic surgeon Oliver Halley explained the BBL is known to cause potential fat embolism and death, and Tabby died as a consequence. The postmortem examination confirmed 2 puncture wounds on her pelvis from the surgery, with coroner Julian Morris recording a narrative verdict. The operative procedure caused her death, Morris stated. Tabby Brown's career spanned modeling for publications such as Cosmopolitan and Elle, appearances in music videos, and roles on reality TV shows like The Bachelor. She was romantically linked to Raheem Sterling in 2016 and footballer Mario Balotelli in 2011. Pardon me, please. Her mother, Mahashin, discovered her unresponsive at home in October. Paying tribute, her family described her as a vibrant and charismatic person with a laugh and smile that matched her beauty. Now, the BBL procedure is surged in popularity but remains one of the riskiest cosmetic surgeries, with infections and improper fat placements leading to severe outcomes. Tabby Brown's untimely death underscores the dangers of the procedure and highlights the importance of raising awareness about the risk. Miss Peace. In Nigeria right now, we have a BBL pandemic. We have a BBL pandemic. It's so bad that they even do, what's it called? Sales for BBL. What are your thoughts on this? Sorry.
Well, I don't know. We are beautifully and wonderfully created.
Right.
Yeah, so right from time, as a health professional, I always look at benefits and the risk. If a risk is much more than the benefits, why shoot? Just because you want to look beautiful, just because you want to impress your fans, or you want to get the big fish in the market, would you go through such just so that you can beautify yourself the way you want? Yeah, we all have right to do whatever we want to do with our bodies.
Right.
But at the same time, when you're considering certain medical interventions, always look out for the benefits and the risk. Weigh it. Because in this BBL, we are not trying to save any life.
Yeah.
You're only trying to enhance your body. And
Before you go, I want to go to Miss Ogechi now. Miss Oge,
Yes.
do you think a big ass is what defines the beauty of a woman, given that it's becoming so prevalent? If you go to Lagos, man, as you're coming down from the plane, heavy duty backside,
Everybody's curvy.
everybody's covered. Do you think that is now a definition for what a woman is supposed to be? Now, given that you're a dietitian and a health person, do you think that we should remove the fact that of what is beneficial to us as women, health-wise and otherwise, and focus on the size of our behind? Why do you think the behind has become so glorified?
I would like to start with, so why do you think it has become so glorified? Then I'll move down.
Okay.
First off, I think beauty standard. Yeah. I think with every generation there is a beauty standard.
Right.
With every generation. There was something I saw one time. They said there was a time when very big women, like if you're very fat, your face fat, your tummy fat, that was the standard of beauty.
This generation can
Every
relate.
generation, you have to have a big backside, big hips, very tiny waist, like a doll, then big boobs and all, and that makes you the perfect figure and the perfect standard of beauty.
Does it increase finances?
Actually, I think that's one of the aim. That's one of the reasons why these
for
ladies
some
do
people,
it. They believe that I've read an article about ladies doing BBL because they believe it's investment. Yeah, they believe that after doing this, they will now have clients that will give them much more than what they spent.
Right, Miss Peace. I want to ask, do you think that this behind increments, these big bosoms that we are seeing these days, do you think it is now directly or indirectly linked to the growth of prostitution and runs girls? Do you think it has aided? Because do you think that because men favor, like you said, people do it as an investment, someone must be favoring something for you to want to invest in it? Yeah, people that will be like, this is exactly what I need in my life for you to invest in it, be it a business, be it a process. Do you think that BBL and women deciding to risk their life, like I said, is one of the most riskiest surgeries to do? But every day, we speak now. People are actually doing this surgery as we speak, ignoring the dangers that someone has just even recently died, as of yesterday. What are your thoughts when you look at it? On one hand, do you think it's now the new leverage to go into prostitution? One. Two, why do they do it? Do you think it's because now this is now a new way to attract more men to their lives?
you're right. The thing is, we all know what the economy is. Some people have seen that by the time they increase their boots and hair, it's more like a side hustle. They become side chicks,
automatically.
So they're more like investing because they know that if they're going to get any big fish, the fish has to really be big.
I want to ask you one thing before you continue on along the line. Now, you know that plastic surgery is expensive.
Definitely.
It's an expensive procedure. Now, you're looking for fish, but you're putting in so much money into this investment. Right? Do you think people that do plastic surgery, they're not broke for them to be able to afford it?
No, they're not broke. Yes, they're not broke, but they are expecting that by the time they come out so set, so nice, so enhanced, they will get someone bigger that can afford them.
And they'll get something bigger than what they've spent.
Yes, that they've spent. So now, when you see some prostitute on the road, you be like, this person, you're committing sin, you're fornicating and all that. Some people are doing it big time without even staying on the road. Because by the time they step out to go to a mall or to a market, the whole body announces them. Like I saw someone on Sunday, someone tapped me and said, do you think this person did BBL? I said, well, these days I don't know the one that is not on BBL. It's all over. So there is no how from where the person met us to the next junction, somebody somewhere won't call the person. So for me, I think it's also promoting prostitution.
Sadly so.
Yes, and it's also causing so much heartbreaks in family. One, from the risk of those that may not survive the surgery. Then secondly, from breaking homes. You see well-built homes, just because the man couldn't keep his eye off this particular woman's body. The person neglects his family, his children, and focuses on this side chick. Most times, even the ones they take on business trips.
So it's not a men fetching scheme.
I'm telling you. So, I don't know. I feel that the government or bodies or agencies have to really do something.
Now, Ms. Ogechi, she talked about men and bodies doing something about this BBL pandemic. What do you think? How do you think the girl child should be raised? When we were growing up, we appreciated our body. Our mothers did not mind if their boobs were firm up on their shoulders or if it was down at their navel. People rocked their bodies the same way they were given. Nobody cared about, you know. Then I think the only thing they did was they had that fattening room thing you talked about, where they get to, they get to be big. Now, what are your thoughts on how the girl child should be structured to be in love with every part of her? There's this song we sing in children's church. We sing for our children in children's church. I love my body from my head to my toe. How do you think we should go ahead and teach children to love themselves more, so we don't get people that are willing to take such risks?
I think this usually starts from the home. As parents, especially parents of the girl child, we have a lot of work to do. Lots of work to do. Okay? First of all, you have to make your child know that she, as a person, is beautiful. That affirmation has to start from the home.
Right.
You, as a mother, you, as a father. Okay? Most times, these children, they lack male as a healthy male attention. If they have good fathers, like fathers that make them feel beautiful, mothers that make them feel loved. Some persons are doing it because they're desperate for attention from outside, because they're lacking it from the inside.
So.
Okay? Sometimes what we do outwardly is a reflection of our inside, or where we are coming from. Environment plays a lot of role in a child's upbringing or in an adult's behavior. So when a child is brought up poor, you make your child understand that he or she is beautiful as a person, as a human being, the way they are created by God, and not whatever their peers will tell them as they are growing, because peer pressure will also be there. So, but when your child has that solid foundation, the tendency of falling out of line is slimmer. I'm not saying it's not there, but it will be more less than a child who never felt that love, who never felt that affection, who was never told that she's beautiful. When somebody has low self-esteem, it also has a way of making them feel like, I'm not sufficient, I'm not adequate. I have to do something to myself to look beautiful. Okay, so as parents, as aunts, as sisters, we have a lot of work to do, especially on our girl children. We have to explain to them, to make them understand that they are beautiful. Also teach them to be using positive affirmations. Okay, I am beautiful, I'm fearfully made. Okay, all those things has a way of making you feel good.
And feel loved and feel beautiful. Thank you so much for your insight on that one, Ms. Ogechi. This is where we wrap it up on this episode of Atlantic Society Watch. I'm really grateful for my beautiful, beautiful lady guests, Ms. Peace and Ms. Ogechi, for making this session so worthwhile. I hope to see you guys soon as possible. Remember, guys, we're open for advert placement, news and event coverage, personality, society and political interviews, product, service promotion, and commercials. You can connect with us on all our ATN socials on Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network on Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1 on Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Remember, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you so much for watching. I am Otaria Benjamin. Please stay with us.